This is the story of Kratos, the ghost of Sparta, a mortal who became a god, who killed gods, who destroyed an entire pantheon, and who sought redemption in a land far from his homeland. Welcome, travellers. This is the complete lore of God of War, from the blood-soaked battlefields of ancient Greece to the frozen realms of Norse mythology. It's a tale of rage and revenge, of fathers and sons, of the cycle of violence and the possibility of breaking it. So settle in, for this story spans centuries, crosses mythologies, and explores the depths of what it means to be human, even when you're a god. Part 1. The world of Greek mythology. Before we can understand Kratos, we must understand the world he was born into. Ancient Greece, in the God of War universe, is a land where gods are real, where monsters roam, and where the fate of mortals is determined by beings of immense power who dwell on Mount Olympus. The Greek cosmos began with chaos, the primordial void from which all things emerged. From chaos came Gaia, the Earth Mother, and from Gaia came the Titans, the first race of divine beings. The Titans ruled the world in its earliest age, led by Kronos, the Titan of Time. But Kronos was paranoid. A prophecy foretold that he would be overthrown by his own children, just as he had overthrown his father Uranus. To prevent this, Kronos devoured each of his children as they were born, swallowing them whole into his stomach. His wife Rhea, heartbroken by the loss of her children, devised a plan. When her youngest son Zeus was born, she hid him away and gave Kronos a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes to swallow instead. Zeus grew to adulthood in secret, and when he was ready he returned to free his siblings. Zeus gave Kronos a potion that forced him to regurgitate the children he had swallowed. Out came Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, fully grown and ready for war. Together with Zeus, they waged war against the Titans in a conflict known as the Titanomachy. The war was long and brutal, shaking the very foundations of the world. But the Olympians emerged victorious, casting the Titans down into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld. Zeus became king of the gods, ruling from Mount Olympus with his brothers and sisters. Poseidon took dominion over the seas, commanding the oceans and all creatures within them. Hades was given the underworld, ruling over the dead in his dark kingdom. The other gods took their places in the pantheon, each with their own domains and responsibilities. But the gods were not benevolent rulers. They were petty, jealous, and cruel, treating mortals as playthings to be used and discarded. They demanded worship and sacrifice, punishing those who defied them with terrible curses. The world of ancient Greece was beautiful but brutal, a place where the whims of the gods could destroy lives in an instant. This is the world into which Kratos was born, a world of gods and monsters, of heroes and villains, of glory and tragedy. And Kratos would come to embody all of these things before his story was done. Part 2. The birth of a Spartan. Kratos was born in the city-state of Sparta, the most militaristic society in ancient Greece. Spartans were warriors from birth, trained from childhood to fight, to endure pain, to show no weakness. Those who couldn't meet the standards were cast out or killed. Only the strong survived. But Kratos was not an ordinary Spartan. He was the son of Zeus, king of the gods, though he didn't know it at the time. Zeus had taken mortal form to seduce Kratos' mother Callisto, as he had done with countless mortal women throughout history. The result was a demigod, a being of extraordinary potential. Kratos also had a brother Deimos, born with unusual birthmarks that covered his body. These marks drew the attention of the gods. for a prophecy had foretold that a marked warrior would bring about the destruction of Olympus. Ares, the god of war, and Athena, goddess of wisdom, came to Sparta to eliminate the threat. They took Deimos, believing him to be the marked warrior of prophecy. Young Kratos tried to stop them, attacking Ares with nothing but his fists and his fury. Ares was impressed by the boy's courage but annoyed by his interference. He struck Kratos across the face, leaving a scar that would mark him for life. Deimos was taken to the domain of death, where he was imprisoned and tortured by Thanatos, the god of death. Kratos never forgot his brother, never stopped blaming himself for failing to save him. The loss of Deimos shaped Kratos' entire life, driving him to become the greatest warrior Sparta had ever produced. Kratos rose through the ranks of the Spartan army, his skill and ferocity unmatched. He became a captain, leading his men to victory after victory. He married a woman named Lysandra and had a daughter named Calliope. For a time, he knew something like happiness, but Kratos was never satisfied. He wanted more, always more. He wanted to be the greatest warrior who ever lived, to conquer all of Greece, to achieve glory that would echo through eternity. This ambition would be his undoing. Part 3. The bargain with Ares. Kratos' ambition led him to war after war, conquest after conquest. But eventually he met an enemy he couldn't defeat. A barbarian horde led by a king named Alric overwhelmed the Spartan forces. Kratos found himself on his knees, Alric's hammer raised to deliver the killing blow. In that moment of desperation, Kratos called out to Ares, the god of war. He offered his life and his service in exchange for victory. Ares, who had been watching Kratos for years, accepted the bargain. He descended from Olympus, slaughtering the barbarians and saving Kratos' life. But the price was steep. Kratos was now bound to Ares, his soul belonging to the god of war. The blades of chaos, weapons forged in the depth of Hades, were seared into his arms, chains fused to his flesh. He could never put them down, never escape the reminder of his servitude. Ares had plans for Kratos. He wanted to mold him into the perfect warrior, a weapon capable of overthrowing Zeus and the other Olympians. To do this, Ares needed to sever every bond that tied Kratos to his humanity. He needed to destroy everything Kratos loved. Under Ares' influence, Kratos became a monster. He led his Spartan army across Greece, destroying villages, slaughtering innocents, burning temples. He was consumed by bloodlust, unable to distinguish between enemies and civilians, between warriors and children. One night, Kratos attacked a village that had been dedicated to Athena. The villagers had taken refuge in a temple, hoping the goddess would protect them. Kratos, blind with rage, burst into the temple and killed everyone inside. When the red haze cleared, Kratos saw what he had done. Among the bodies were his wife Lysandra and his daughter Calliope. Ares had orchestrated everything, bringing Kratos' family to the village, knowing that Kratos would kill them in his frenzy. The god of war had succeeded in severing Kratos' last ties to humanity. The village oracle cursed Kratos, binding the ashes of his family to his skin. From that day forward, Kratos' skin was pale white, covered in the ashes of his wife and daughter. He became known as the Ghost of Sparta, a figure of terror and tragedy. Part 4. The Servant of the Gods. Kratos renounced his service to Ares, but he could not escape the gods entirely. Haunted by nightmares of his family's death, tormented by guilt and rage, he sought a way to find peace. The gods of Olympus offered him a bargain. serve them for 10 years, and they would free him from his torment. Kratos agreed, becoming a weapon of the gods. He performed tasks that the Olympians couldn't or wouldn't do themselves, eliminating threats to their power, punishing mortals who had offended them. He was a slave in all but name, bound by his desperate need for redemption. During these years, Kratos undertook many missions. He travelled to the underworld to rescue the sun god Helios from the clutches of the dream god Morpheus. He battled the Furies, ancient beings who punished oath breakers when they tried to drag him back to Ares' service. He even journeyed to the domain of death to rescue his brother Deimos, though that mission ended in tragedy when Thanatos killed Deimos before Kratos' eyes. Each mission took its toll on Kratos. He killed countless enemies, faced impossible odds, survived trials that would have destroyed any ordinary mortal. But the nightmares never stopped. The visions of his family's death haunted him every night, a constant reminder of what he had done. The gods used Kratos without remorse, sending him on increasingly dangerous missions, treating him as a tool rather than a person. They had no intention of honouring their bargain. The gods of Olympus were not known for keeping their promises to mortals. After 10 years of service, Kratos demanded that the gods fulfill their promise. He had done everything they asked, killed everyone they wanted dead. Now he wanted his reward, freedom from the nightmares, peace from the guilt that consumed him. Athena, speaking for the gods, told Kratos that his sins were forgiven, but forgiveness was not the same as forgetfulness. The nightmares would continue, the memories would remain. The gods had never promised to erase his past, only to forgive it. Kratos felt betrayed. He had given the gods 10 years of his life, had killed and destroyed at their command, and they had given him nothing in return. His rage, always simmering beneath the surface, began to boil over. If the gods would not give him peace, he would take it from them. Part 5. The death of Ares. Kratos' opportunity for revenge came when Ares attacked Athens. The god of war had grown impatient with Zeus's rule and sought to overthrow Olympus. He unleashed his armies on Athens, Athena's favoured city, as the first step in his rebellion. Athena came to Kratos with a proposition. If he killed Ares, she would ensure that the gods forgave his sins completely. More importantly, she would give him what he truly wanted, an end to his suffering. Kratos agreed, not out of loyalty to Athena, but out of hatred for Ares. But killing a god was no simple task. Ares was immortal, invulnerable to mortal weapons. To have any chance of success, Kratos needed Pandora's box, an artifact of immense power that had been hidden away by the gods. The box was kept in a temple on the back of Kronos, the Titan who had been condemned to wander the desert of lost souls for eternity. Kratos journeyed to the desert, climbed the Titan's body, and entered the temple. Inside, he faced traps and monsters designed to kill anyone who sought the box. The temple was a gauntlet of horrors. Kratos fought through armies of undead soldiers, solved puzzles that required sacrifice and suffering, and faced guardians that had destroyed countless heroes before him. But Kratos was not like other heroes. He was driven by rage, by guilt, by a need for revenge that nothing could extinguish. At the heart of the temple, Kratos found Pandora's box. But before he could claim it, Ares sensed what was happening. The god of war hurled a massive pillar across the world, impaling Kratos and sending him tumbling into the underworld. Kratos found himself in Hades, the realm of the dead. But even death could not stop him. He fought his way through the underworld, climbing out of the pit of Tartarus, escaping the clutches of Hades himself. He returned to the mortal world, retrieved Pandora's box and opened it. The power of the box flowed into Kratos, making him strong enough to challenge a god. He returned to Athens, where Ares was laying waste to the city. The battle that followed shook the foundations of the world. Ares tried everything to defeat Kratos. He stripped away the blades of chaos, leaving Kratos unarmed. He created illusions of Kratos' family, forcing him to relive the worst moment of his life. He grew to enormous size, towering over the city like a colossus, but Kratos would not be stopped. He found the Blade of the Gods, a weapon forged by Zeus himself, and used it to strike down Ares. The god of war fell, defeated by the mortal he had once saved, killed by the weapon he had helped create. With Ares dead, Kratos expected his suffering to end, but Athena told him the truth. The gods could forgive his sins, but they could not make him forget. The nightmares would continue, the guilt would remain. Kratos had killed a god, but he had not found peace. In despair, Kratos threw himself from the highest cliff in Greece, seeking to end his life and his suffering. But the gods had other plans. They saved him, brought him to Olympus, and offered him Ares' empty throne. Kratos, the mortal who had killed a god, would become the new god of war. Part 6. The God of War. Kratos ascended to Olympus, taking his place among the gods. He was given power beyond anything he had known as a mortal, the ability to shape the world according to his will. But godhood did not bring him peace. The nightmares continued, and now he had eternity to endure them. As the god of war, Kratos was supposed to serve Zeus and the other Olympians. But Kratos had never been good at taking orders. He used his new power to aid Sparta, his homeland, making it the dominant power in Greece. He led the Spartans to victory after victory, conquering cities and crushing armies. The other gods grew concerned. Kratos was too powerful, too unpredictable, too willing to defy their authority. Zeus in particular saw Kratos as a threat. The king of the gods remembered the prophecy that had driven him to imprison the Titans. A son would overthrow his father, just as Zeus had overthrown Kronos. Zeus didn't know that Kratos was his son, but he sensed the danger. He watched Kratos carefully, waiting for an excuse to act against him. That excuse came when Kratos attacked the city of Rhodes. The Spartans were laying siege to the city, and Kratos descended from Olympus to join the battle personally. But as he fought, he felt his power draining away. Someone was stealing his godhood. That someone was Zeus. The king of the gods had sent the Colossus of Rhodes, a massive bronze statue animated by divine power, to destroy Kratos. To defeat the Colossus, Kratos needed more power, and Zeus offered it to him in the form of the Blade of Olympus. The Blade of Olympus was the weapon Zeus had used to end the Great War against the Titans. It was the most powerful weapon in existence, capable of killing gods and Titans alike. But to use it, Kratos had to drain his own godly power into the blade, becoming mortal once again. Kratos didn't hesitate. He drained his power into the blade and used it to destroy the Colossus. But the victory was short-lived. As Kratos lay weakened among the ruins, Zeus appeared and took the Blade of Olympus for himself. Zeus revealed his true intentions. He had orchestrated everything, weakening Kratos so he could be destroyed. The king of the gods drove the Blade of Olympus through Kratos' chest, killing him. As Kratos died, Zeus spoke of the cycle of son-killing father, of the need to break that cycle before it could claim him. Kratos fell into the underworld once again, his body broken, his power gone. But death had not stopped him before, and it would not stop him now. Part 7. The Titan's Revenge. In the depths of Hades, Kratos was saved by Gaia, the Earth Mother, the Titan who had given birth to the gods themselves. Gaia had been watching Kratos for years, seeing in him a weapon that could be used against Zeus and the Olympians. Gaia told Kratos the truth about his heritage. He was the son of Zeus, a demigod born of a mortal woman and the king of the gods. The prophecy that Zeus feared, the one about a son overthrowing his father, referred to Kratos. Zeus had tried to kill his own son to prevent the prophecy from coming true. This revelation transformed Kratos' rage into something even more powerful. His hatred of the gods had been personal before, born of betrayal and broken promises. Now it was existential. Zeus had tried to murder him. His own father had driven a blade through his heart. There could be no forgiveness, no reconciliation, only revenge. Gaia offered Kratos a way to achieve that revenge. She told him of the Sisters of Fate, 3 beings who control the threads of destiny. If Kratos could reach them, he could change his fate, travel back in time to the moment of his death, and take his revenge on Zeus. The journey to the Sisters of Fate was long and perilous. Kratos travelled across the world, facing monsters and gods who stood in his way. He killed the barbarian king, who had been resurrected by Hades. He defeated Theseus, the legendary hero who guarded the steeds of time. He slew Perseus, another son of Zeus who sought the sisters' power for himself. Along the way, Kratos encountered Prometheus, the Titan who had given fire to humanity and been punished by Zeus for his defiance. Prometheus was chained to a rock, his liver eaten by an eagle every day, only to regenerate and be eaten again. He begged Kratos to kill him, to end his eternal torment. Kratos granted Prometheus's wish, freeing him from his suffering. In return, Prometheus gave Kratos the power of the Titans, the rage of the Titans, which would prove crucial in the battles to come. Kratos also encountered Icarus, the inventor who had flown too close to the sun. Icarus had gone mad, obsessed with reaching the Sisters of Fate. He attacked Kratos, and in the struggle, both of them fell into the great chasm. Kratos tore the wings from Icarus's back and used them to fly to safety, leaving Icarus to fall to his death. Finally, Kratos reached the island of creation, where the Sisters of Fate dwelt. He fought through their temple, solving puzzles and defeating guardians, until he reached the sisters themselves, Lachesis, Atropos, and Clotho. The Sisters of Fate were not gods, but they were immensely powerful, controlling the destiny of all living things. They told Kratos that his fate was to die, that Zeus's victory was ordained. But Kratos refused to accept fate. He killed the sisters one by one and took control of the Loom of Fate. With the Loom, Kratos could travel through time. He went back to the moment of his death, arriving just as Zeus was about to strike. This time, Kratos was ready. He caught the blade of Olympus and turned it against Zeus, wounding the king of the gods and forcing him to flee. But Kratos wasn't finished. He used the Loom of Fate to travel even further back, to the moment of the Titanomachy, when Zeus and the Olympians had defeated the Titans. He brought the Titans forward in time, to the present day, and led them in an assault on Mount Olympus. The second Titanomachy had begun. Part 8. The Fall of Olympus. The assault on Mount Olympus was the most cataclysmic event in the history of the Greek world. Kratos rode on the back of Gaia as she and the other Titans climbed the mountain, their massive forms shaking the earth with every step. The gods of Olympus rallied to defend their home. Poseidon, god of the seas, attacked first, summoning the power of the ocean to sweep the Titans from the mountain. He took the form of a massive water creature battling Gaia directly. Kratos fought Poseidon, climbing across Gaia's body to reach the sea god. The battle was brutal, with Poseidon using all his power to destroy Kratos. But Kratos was relentless. He beat Poseidon down, gouged out his eyes, and snapped his neck. The death of Poseidon had immediate consequences. Without the god of the seas to control them, the oceans rose up, flooding the world. Coastal cities were destroyed, millions drowned. The geography of Greece was forever changed. Kratos didn't care. His revenge was all that mattered, but the assault faltered. Zeus struck back with his thunderbolts, knocking Kratos from Gaia's back. As Kratos fell, he reached out to Gaia for help, but the Titan refused. She told Kratos that he was only a means to an end, a weapon to be used and discarded. The Titans cared nothing for him. They only wanted revenge on Zeus. Kratos fell into the underworld once again, but this time he was prepared. He fought his way through Hades, killing the souls of those he had wronged in life, including the captain of his ship whom he had sacrificed years before. In the depths of Hades, Kratos encountered the god of the underworld himself. Hades was furious with Kratos, who had killed his wife Persephone and his niece Athena. The god of the dead attacked with all his power, wielding the claws of Hades, weapons that could rip the soul from any living being. The battle with Hades was one of the most difficult Kratos had ever faced. Hades was ancient and powerful, lord of all the dead, master of the underworld. But Kratos' rage was stronger. He tore the claws of Hades from the god's hands and used them to rip out Hades' soul, killing the lord of the dead. With Hades dead, the souls of the underworld were released. The dead rose from their graves, wandering the earth without purpose or direction. Another pillar of the world had fallen, another consequence of Kratos' revenge. Kratos escaped the underworld and continued his assault on Olympus. He killed Helios, the sun god, tearing his head from his body. Without Helios, the sun went dark, plunging the world into eternal twilight. Kratos kept Helios' head as a weapon, using its light to reveal hidden paths and blind his enemies. He killed Hermes, the messenger god, cutting off his legs to claim his winged boots. Without Hermes, a plague spread across the land, killing thousands. He killed Hera, queen of the gods, snapping her neck in a moment of rage. Without Hera, the plants of the world withered and died. Each god Kratos killed brought new catastrophes to the world. The Greek cosmos was built on the power of the gods, and as they died, the cosmos began to collapse. Floods, plagues, darkness, death, all spread across the land as Kratos continued his rampage. But Kratos didn't stop. He couldn't stop. His rage had consumed him completely, leaving nothing but the need for revenge. He would kill every god on Olympus, even if it meant destroying the world in the process. Part 9. The Truth of Pandora's Box. As Kratos fought his way up Olympus, he learned the truth about Pandora's box and the power it had given him years before. When Zeus had imprisoned the Titans, Athena had feared that someday the evils of the Titans might escape and threaten the world. She created Pandora's box to contain those evils, sealing them away where they could do no harm. But Athena also placed something else in the box: hope. She knew that if the evils were ever released, humanity would need hope to survive. So she hid it at the bottom of the box beneath all the darkness. When Kratos opened Pandora's box to gain the power to kill Ares, he released the evils that had been sealed within. Those evils infected the gods of Olympus, amplifying their worst qualities. Zeus became paranoid and tyrannical. Poseidon became cruel and vindictive. The gods, already flawed, became monsters. But the hope that Athena had placed in the box went into Kratos. It had been inside him all along, buried beneath his rage and guilt. Kratos had carried hope within him for years without knowing it, the one force that could counter the evils that had corrupted the gods. This revelation came from Athena herself, who had died earlier trying to protect Zeus from Kratos' blade. But Athena had not truly died. She had ascended to a higher plane of existence, becoming something more than a god. She appeared to Kratos as a spirit, guiding him toward the final confrontation with Zeus. Athena wanted Kratos to kill Zeus and then give her the power of hope. With that power, she could remake the world according to her vision, becoming the supreme ruler of a new pantheon. She saw herself as benevolent, as the one god who could be trusted with absolute power. Kratos didn't trust Athena. He'd been used by the gods too many times to believe in their good intentions. But he continued towards Zeus, driven by his need for revenge, willing to deal with Athena's schemes after his father was dead. Part 10. Pandora and the Flame. To reach Zeus, Kratos needed to extinguish the flame of Olympus, a fire that protected the king of the gods. But the flame could only be extinguished by Pandora herself, the girl for whom Pandora's box had been named. Pandora was not a mortal girl, but a construct, created by Hephaestus, the god of the forge, to be the key to the box. She was innocent and pure, untouched by the corruption that had infected the other gods. Hephaestus had come to love her as a daughter, and had hidden her away to protect her from Zeus. Kratos found Pandora in the labyrinth, a massive structure built by Hephaestus' son Daedalus. The labyrinth was a trap designed to kill anyone who entered, but Kratos fought through it, solving its puzzles and defeating its guardians. When Kratos reached Pandora, he was struck by her innocence. She reminded him of his own daughter Calliope, the child he'd killed in his madness. For the first time in years, Kratos felt something other than rage. He felt protective, almost paternal. Hephaestus tried to stop Kratos from taking Pandora, knowing that she would die if she entered the flame. The god of the forge attacked Kratos, but despite his power, he was no match for the ghost of Sparta. Kratos killed Hephaestus, adding another god to his tally. Kratos brought Pandora to the flame of Olympus. She was willing to sacrifice herself, to give her life to help Kratos achieve his revenge. But at the last moment, Kratos hesitated. He didn't want another innocent to die because of him. He tried to stop Pandora from entering the flame, but Pandora made her own choice. She walked into the flame, extinguishing it with her sacrifice. The way to Zeus was open, but the cost had been high. Kratos had failed to save another child, another innocent who had died because of his quest for revenge. Part 11. The Final Battle. With the flame extinguished, Kratos confronted Zeus at the heart of Olympus. Father and son faced each other, both consumed by hatred, both determined to destroy the other. Zeus was the most powerful of the gods, king of Olympus, wielder of thunder and lightning. He had defeated the Titans, had ruled for millennia, had crushed every threat to his power. But he had never faced an enemy like Kratos, a son driven by rage that matched his own. The battle between Kratos and Zeus was apocalyptic. They fought across Olympus, their blows shaking the mountain, their power tearing the sky apart. Zeus used every weapon at his disposal: lightning, wind, the power of the other gods he had absorbed. Kratos used the blade of Olympus, the weapon that had killed him once before. The fight spilled onto Gaia, who had climbed back up the mountain to continue her assault. Both Kratos and Zeus stabbed the blade of Olympus into Gaia's heart, killing the Earth Mother. Her body became the battlefield for their final confrontation. Zeus seemed to have the upper hand. He beat Kratos down, mocked him, prepared to deliver the killing blow. But Kratos refused to die. He reached deep within himself, finding the hope that had been placed there when he opened Pandora's box. With the power of hope, Kratos rose again. He attacked Zeus with renewed fury, beating the king of the gods with his bare hands. He didn't stop when Zeus fell. He didn't stop when Zeus stopped moving. He kept hitting, kept punching, kept releasing years of rage and pain and guilt. When Kratos finally stopped, Zeus was dead. The king of the gods, the most powerful being in the Greek world, had been beaten to death by his own son. The prophecy had been fulfilled. The cycle of son-killing father had claimed another victim. But the world was dying. With the gods dead, the forces they had controlled were running wild. The seas flooded the land. The sun had gone dark. Plague swept across the earth. The dead walked among the living. Greece, and perhaps the entire world, was being destroyed. Athena appeared to Kratos, demanding that he give her the power of a hope. With that power, she could restore order, could rebuild the world under her rule. She saw herself as the savior, the one god worthy of worship. But Kratos refused. He had seen what the gods did with power. He'd been used and betrayed by them too many times. He would not give Athena the chance to become another tyrant. Instead, Kratos drove the blade of Olympus through his own chest, releasing the power of hope into the world. If humanity was to survive, they would have to save themselves. They would have to find their own hope, their own strength, their own way forward. Athena was furious. She had manipulated events for years, had guided Kratos toward this moment, and now he had denied her the prize she sought. She pulled the blade from his body and vanished, leaving Kratos to die. But Kratos did not die. When the scene faded, a trail of blood led from where his body had lain to the edge of the cliff. Kratos had survived, had crawled away, had escaped death once again. The ghost of Sparta was gone from Greece, but his story was not over. Part 12. The Journey North. After the fall of Olympus, Kratos disappeared from Greece. The land he had destroyed held nothing for him but memories of pain and loss. He wandered for years, perhaps centuries, seeking a place where he could escape his past. Eventually he found his way to the lands of the Norse, a cold and harsh realm far from the Mediterranean world he had known. Here the gods were different, the myths were different, the people were different. Here Kratos hoped he could start again. He settled in the wilderness of Midgard, building a cabin in the forest, living as a hermit. He tried to leave behind the violence that had defined his life, tried to find peace in solitude. But peace was not easy for a man who had killed gods. Then he met Faye. Faye was a warrior woman, fierce and skilled, living alone in the wilderness like Kratos. Their meeting was not gentle. She attacked him, testing his strength, and he defended himself. But something passed between them, a recognition of kindred spirits. Faye was not what she seemed. She was a giant, one of the Jötnar, beings of immense power who had once ruled the Norse realms. The giants had been hunted nearly to extinction by the Aesir gods, led by Odin and Thor. Faye was one of the last of her kind, hiding in Midgard to escape the gods' persecution. Faye saw something in Kratos, something beyond the rage and the violence. She saw a man who was trying to change, who was fighting against his own nature. She fell in love with him, and he with her. For the first time since the death of his first family, Kratos allowed himself to feel something other than anger. They married, and Faye gave birth to a son. They named him Atreus, after a Spartan soldier Kratos had known, a man who had smiled even in the face of death. Kratos hoped his son would inherit that quality, that ability to find joy in a harsh world. But Kratos kept secrets from his family. He never told Faye about his past, about the gods he had killed, about the world he had destroyed. He never told Atreus that he was a god, that divine blood flowed through his veins. He buried the blades of chaos beneath his cabin, hoping to never use them again. Faye knew more than Kratos realized. She had her own secrets, her own plans. She knew that someday, Kratos and Atreus would have to face the Norse gods, would have to play a role in the fate of the 9 realms. She prepared for that day, leaving clues and guidance that would help them on their journey. When Faye died, she left one final request: that her ashes be scattered from the highest peak in all the realms. It seemed a simple request, a final journey to honour a beloved wife and mother, but nothing involving the gods is ever simple. Part 13. The journey begins. God of War 2018 begins with Faye's death. Kratos and Atreus prepare her body for cremation, cutting down the trees she had marked, building the pyre that would consume her remains. It's a somber beginning, a moment of grief that sets the tone for everything that follows. Kratos is different now. The rage that once consumed him is still there, but it's controlled, contained. He speaks little, shows little emotion, keeps his son at a distance. He's trying to protect Atreus, to keep him from becoming what Kratos once was. But his methods are cold, harsh, more like training than parenting. Atreus is young, eager to prove himself, desperate for his father's approval. He's skilled with a bow, taught by his mother, but he's never faced real danger. He doesn't know about his father's past, doesn't know about the gods, doesn't know about the power that lies dormant within him. Their journey to scatter Faye's ashes begins simply enough. They need to reach the highest peak in Midgard, a mountain that rises above all others, but almost immediately they encounter obstacles that suggest their journey will be anything but simple. A stranger arrives at their cabin, a man covered in tattoos, radiating power. He's looking for Kratos, though he doesn't know Kratos' name. He knows only that a god lives in these woods, and he's come to fight him. This stranger is Baldur, son of Odin, god of light. He's been sent by his father to find and capture Kratos, though neither Baldur nor Kratos understands why at this point. What follows is one of the most spectacular fights in gaming history. Kratos and Baldur battle across the forest, their blows shattering trees and cracking the earth. Baldur is incredibly powerful, able to heal from any wound, immune to all physical harm. No matter how hard Kratos hits him, Baldur keeps coming back. But Kratos is the god of war, the slayer of the Greek pantheon. He matches Baldur blow for blow, eventually snapping his neck and throwing him into a chasm. It seems like the fight is over, but Kratos knows better. Gods don't die easily. The encounter with Baldur convinces Kratos that they need to leave immediately. The Norse gods know he's here, and they'll send more enemies. He and Atreus set out on their journey, leaving their home behind. Part 14. The Witch of the Woods. Early in their journey, Kratos and Atreus encounter a woman living in a house in the woods. She's mysterious and powerful, clearly more than she appears. She offers to help them on their journey, providing information and assistance. The woman is Freya, though she doesn't reveal her true identity at first. She's a Vanir goddess, one of a different tribe of gods than the Aesir. She was once married to Odin, but their marriage ended badly, and now she lives in exile, forbidden from harming any living thing. Freya recognizes what Kratos is, or at least suspects it. She sees the power in him, the danger, but she also sees that he's trying to protect his son, trying to be a better man than he was. She decides to help them, for reasons that become clear later. Freya heals Atreus when he falls ill, teaches Kratos about the Norse realms, and provides guidance for their journey. She becomes an ally, perhaps even a friend, though Kratos remains wary of her. He's learned not to trust gods. What Kratos doesn't know is that Freya is Baldur's mother. Years ago, she cast a spell on her son to protect him from harm, making him immune to all threats, physical and magical. But the spell came with a terrible cost. Baldur could feel nothing. No pain, but also no pleasure. No cold, no warmth, no sensation at all. Baldur has spent decades trying to break his mother's spell, to feel something again. His hatred for Freya is absolute, and his search for Kratos is connected to his desire to end his curse. The family drama between Freya and Baldur will have profound consequences for Kratos and Atreus. Brok is crude and blunt, speaking his mind without filter. Sindri is fastidious and germophobic, constantly cleaning and worrying. They're estranged when Kratos first meets them, working separately despite their shared history. Their relationship mirrors in some ways the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. The brothers upgrade Kratos' weapons throughout the journey, improving the Leviathan axe that Faye left behind and eventually helping to restore the Blades of Chaos. Their craftsmanship is unmatched, and their knowledge of the realms proves invaluable. Brok and Sindri also provide comic relief in a story that's often dark and heavy. Their bickering, their complaints, their observations about Kratos and Atreus add levity without undermining the emotional weight of the narrative. By the end of the journey, the brothers have reconciled, working together again for the first time in years. Their reunion parallels the growing bond between Kratos and Atreus, showing that even the most damaged relationships can be healed. Part 17. The Truth About Atreus. As the journey progresses, Atreus begins to manifest strange abilities. He can read languages he's never learned, understand creatures he's never encountered, tap into powers that shouldn't be possible for a mortal boy. Kratos has been keeping the truth from his son, but he can't hide it forever. When Atreus falls gravely ill, Kratos is forced to reveal part of the truth. Atreus is a god. The sickness is caused by his divine nature conflicting with his belief that he's mortal. His body and mind are at war with each other. To save Atreus, Kratos must retrieve the Blades of Chaos, the weapons he buried years ago, the symbols of everything he's trying to escape. He descends into his own home, digs up the blades and feels them sear into his arms once again. The chains that bind him to his past cannot be broken. With the blades of chaos, Kratos journeys to Helheim, the Norse realm of the dead, to retrieve the heart of a gatekeeper that can cure Atreus. Helheim is a frozen wasteland, a place of eternal cold where the dishonored dead wander forever. It's also a place that forces Kratos to confront his past. In Helheim, Kratos sees visions of his crimes, of the family he killed, of the gods he destroyed. The realm feeds on guilt and regret, showing its visitors their worst memories. Kratos endures these visions, retrieves the heart, and returns to save his son. When Atreus recovers, Kratos tells him the truth. He is a god, son of a god, heir to power beyond mortal understanding. But Kratos also warns him about what that power can do, how it can corrupt, how it can destroy everything you love. Atreus' reaction to this revelation is complicated. At first, he's excited, eager to explore his new identity. But his excitement quickly turns to arrogance. He becomes cruel, dismissive, treating mortals as beneath him. He's becoming what Kratos fears most, another god drunk on power. The tension between father and son reaches a breaking point. Kratos must teach Atreus that being a god doesn't make him better than others, that power comes with responsibility, that the path of arrogance leads only to destruction. It's a lesson Kratos learned the hard way, and he's determined that his son won't repeat his mistakes. Part 18. Mimir, the smartest man alive. One of the most important allies Kratos and Atreus gain is Mimir, a figure from Celtic mythology who's been imprisoned by Odin. Mimir was once Odin's advisor, the smartest man alive, a repository of knowledge about all the 9 realms. But Mimir made the mistake of helping the giants, and Odin punished him by imprisoning him in a tree, torturing him daily, keeping him alive only to extract information. When Kratos finds him, Mimir begs for death, for release from his eternal torment. Kratos grants his wish, cutting off Mimir's head. But death is not the end for Mimir. Freya uses her magic to reanimate the head, allowing Mimir to continue living, speaking and advising. He becomes a companion for the rest of the journey, hanging from Kratos' belt, providing information and commentary. Mimir's knowledge proves invaluable. He knows the history of the 9 realms, the secrets of the gods, the prophecies that shape the future. He tells Kratos and Atreus about Odin's obsession with preventing Ragnarok, about Thor's brutality, about the fate of the giants. Mimir also provides perspective on Kratos' past. He's heard stories of the ghost of Sparta, of the god who destroyed the Greek pantheon. He understands what Kratos is capable of, but he also sees that Kratos is trying to change. Mimir becomes a voice of wisdom, helping Kratos navigate the challenges of fatherhood and the dangers of the Norse realms. Sakura, Part 19. The Realm of the Giants. The journey to Scatterphase Ashes leads Kratos and Atreus to Jotunheim, the realm of the giants. This realm's been sealed off from the rest of the 9 realms, hidden by the giants to protect themselves from Odin's persecution. Reaching Jotunheim requires travelling through multiple realms, solving puzzles left by the giants, and overcoming obstacles placed by the Aesir. The journey tests Kratos and Atreus in every way, forcing them to work together, to trust each other, to become a true team. When they finally reach Jotunheim, they find a realm of breathtaking beauty but also profound tragedy. The giants are gone, all of them, killed by Thor in a genocide that wiped out an entire race. Their bodies lie scattered across the realm, monuments to Aesir cruelty. But the giants left something behind. a shrine that tells the story of Kratos and Atreus' journey. The giants could see the future, and they recorded what they saw in murals and carvings. Every step of the journey, every challenge, every revelation was foreseen and documented. The shrine reveals the truth about Faye. She was a giant, one of the last of her kind, and she had planned this journey from the beginning. She knew that Kratos and Atreus would need to come to Jotunheim, would need to learn the truth about themselves and their destiny. Her death, her final request, was all part of a larger plan. The shrine also reveals Atreus' giant name, Loki. In Norse mythology, Loki is the trickster god, the father of monsters, the catalyst for Ragnarok. Atreus is destined to play a crucial role in the end of the world, though what that role will be remains unclear. Kratos and Atreus scatter Faye's ashes from the highest peak in Jotunheim, fulfilling her final wish. But the journey has changed them both. They're no longer just father and son, they're partners, allies, bound by shared experience and mutual respect. Part 20. The Death of Baldur. The journey doesn't end with the scattering of Faye's ashes. Baldur returns, still seeking Kratos, still driven by his obsession. But now his true target is revealed. He's been searching for the path to Jotunheim, hoping to find a way to break his mother's curse. Baldur confronts Kratos and Atreus, and this time he's not alone. Freya arrives, desperate to protect her son, even though he hates her. The confrontation becomes a three-way conflict, with Baldur attacking everyone, Freya trying to stop the violence and Kratos trying to protect his son. During the fight, Atreus accidentally pierces Baldur with an arrow tipped with mistletoe. This is the one thing that can break Freya's spell, the one substance she didn't protect against because she thought it was too insignificant to be a threat. Baldur can feel again. For the first time in decades, he experiences sensation, pain, cold, the touch of another person. The curse is broken, and Baldur is overwhelmed by the flood of feeling. But his hatred for his mother remains. He attacks Freya, determined to kill her for what she did to him. Kratos intervenes, not to protect Freya, but to prevent Baldur from making the same mistake Kratos made. Killing family Kratos knows leads only to more pain. Baldur refuses to listen. He continues his attack on Freya, and Kratos is forced to make a choice. He snaps Baldur's neck, killing him, ending the threat. It's a mercy killing in some ways, freeing Baldur from his torment, but it's also a murder, and it has consequences. Freya is devastated. Despite everything Baldur did, despite his hatred, he was still her son. She swears revenge on Kratos, promising to make him suffer as she has suffered. The ally has become an enemy, and the cycle of violence continues. Jat, Part 21. The Prophecy of Ragnarok. With Baldur dead, Kratos and Atreus return home, but they know their troubles are far from over. Baldur's death has set events in motion that cannot be stopped. Mimir explains the significance of what has happened. Baldur's death is the first sign of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, the end of the world. According to prophecy, Ragnarok will begin with the death of Baldur and end with the destruction of the 9 realms. But Mimir also offers hope. Prophecy is not destiny. The future can be changed if one is willing to fight for it. Kratos has already defied fate once, when he killed the Sisters of Fate and changed his own destiny. Perhaps he can do it again. The game ends with a vision of the future. Kratos and Atreus are asleep in their cabin when Thor arrives, hammer in hand, ready for battle. It's a promise of things to come, a hint of the conflict that will define the sequel. Kratos has escaped his past, but he cannot escape his future. The Norse gods know who he is, what he's done, what he's capable of. They will come for him, and he will have to fight. The only question is whether he can protect his son while doing so. Part 22. God of War. Ragnarok. Fimbulwinter. God of War. Ragnarok picks up several years after the first game. Fimbulwinter, the great winter that precedes Ragnarok, has begun. The world is frozen, the realms are in chaos, and the Aesir are preparing for war. Kratos and Atreus have been living in isolation, training, preparing for the conflict they know is coming. Atreus has grown, both physically and emotionally. He's no longer a child, but a young man, eager to understand his destiny, to learn what it means to be Loki. But Kratos remains cautious. He's seen what happens when gods pursue their destinies, when they embrace the roles that prophecy assigns them. He wants Atreus to choose his own path, to be more than what the prophecies say he will be. Their isolation is shattered when Freya attacks. She's spent years preparing her revenge, gathering power, waiting for the right moment. She's relentless, attacking again and again, forcing Kratos to defend himself without killing her. Kratos doesn't want to kill Freya. He understands her grief, her rage, her need for revenge. He's felt all those things himself, but he also can't let her kill him or threaten his son. The conflict between them is a stalemate, neither able to defeat the other, neither willing to back down. Then Thor arrives. The god of thunder comes to Kratos' home, not to fight, but to talk. He's accompanied by Odin, the Allfather, king of the Aesir. Odin has a proposition for Kratos. Stop interfering with the affairs of the gods, and the Aesir will leave him alone. Kratos refuses. He's dealt with gods before, and he knows their promises are worthless. Odin is not offended. He expected this response. He leaves peacefully, but the threat is clear. War is coming, and Kratos will have to choose a side. Part 23. The search for Tyr, Atreus becomes obsessed with finding Tyr, the Norse god of war. Unlike the other Aesir, Tyr was known for his wisdom and his commitment to peace. He travelled to other lands, learned from other cultures, and tried to broker peace between the gods and the giants. Odin imprisoned Tyr long ago, fearing his influence and his knowledge, but Atreus believes that Tyr might hold the key to preventing Ragnarok, to finding a path that doesn't end in destruction. He convinces Kratos to help him search for the imprisoned god. The search takes them across the 9 realms, to places they've never been, facing dangers they've never encountered. They visit Svartalfheim, the realm of the dwarves, where they learn more about Odin's tyranny and the resistance that's forming against him. They visit Vanaheim, the realm of the Vanir, where Freya once ruled. The realm is wild and overgrown, its people caught between loyalty to Freya and fear of the Aesir. Kratos and Atreus must navigate complex politics while searching for clues to Tyr's location. They eventually find Tyr, imprisoned in a hidden location, broken by years of captivity. The god of war is not what they expected. He's passive, traumatized, unwilling to fight. The years of imprisonment have destroyed his spirit. Tyr's presence raises questions about the nature of gods and the possibility of change. Here is a god who chose peace over war, wisdom over violence. He's proof that gods don't have to be tyrants, that divine power can be used for good. But he's also proof of what happens when you defy Odin: imprisonment, torture, the destruction of everything you believe in. Part 24. Atreus' journey. As Ragnarok approaches, Atreus becomes increasingly independent, pursuing his own goals, making his own choices. He's no longer content to follow his father. He wants to understand his destiny, to learn what it means to be Loki. Atreus discovers that he can transform into animals, a power inherited from his giant heritage. He uses this ability to explore places Kratos cannot go, to gather information, to make connections with allies across the realms. He also begins to question his father's approach. Kratos wants to avoid conflict, to protect what they have, to let the gods destroy themselves. But Atreus sees the suffering that Odin's rule causes, the people who need help, the injustices that demand response. The tension between father and son grows. Atreus sneaks away to pursue his own missions, keeping secrets from Kratos, making alliances without his father's knowledge. He's becoming his own person, but in doing so, he's also putting himself in danger. Atreus' journey takes him to Asgard itself, the realm of the Aesir, where he meets Odin face to face. The Allfather is not what Atreus expected. He's charming, reasonable, even sympathetic. He offers Atreus knowledge, answers to the questions that have haunted him. Odin is manipulating Atreus, of course. The Allfather is a master of deception, and he sees in Atreus a tool that can be used against Kratos, but Atreus doesn't realize this at first. He's seduced by Odin's promises, by the possibility of understanding his destiny. The relationship between Atreus and Odin is one of the most complex in the game. Odin is genuinely interested in Atreus, sees potential in him, wants to guide him, but his interest is selfish, driven by his obsession with preventing Ragnarök and his fear of what Atreus might become. Part 25. The Mask of Odin. Odin's obsession throughout the game is a mysterious mask that he believes will allow him to see the future, to understand the secrets of existence, to prevent Ragnarök. He spent centuries searching for this mask, sacrificing everything in its pursuit. The mask is connected to the giants, to their ability to see the future, to the prophecies that have shaped the 9 realms. Odin believes that if he can complete the mask, he can gain the giant's power of foresight, can see what's coming and prevent it. Atreus becomes involved in Odin's search, helping him piece together the fragments of the mask. He believes that the knowledge the mask provides might help everyone, might reveal a path to peace. But Kratos is suspicious, knowing that Odin's motives are never pure. The mask becomes a symbol of the conflict between knowledge and wisdom, between seeing the future and accepting it. Odin wants to control fate, to bend it to his will. But the game suggests that this desire for control is itself the problem, that true wisdom lies in accepting what cannot be changed and focusing on what can. Part 26. The Alliances form. As Ragnarök approaches, alliances form across the 9 realms. Those who oppose Odin begin to gather, united by their hatred of the Allfather and their desire for freedom. Freya eventually joins Kratos' side, setting aside her desire for revenge to fight against a greater threat. Her reconciliation with Kratos is gradual and painful, requiring both of them to acknowledge their mistakes and their grief. But they find common ground in their opposition to Odin and their desire to protect those they love. The dwarves of Svartalfheim join the alliance, led by Brok and Sindri. They've suffered under Odin's rule, their realm exploited for its resources, their people treated as servants. They bring their craftsmanship and their knowledge to the cause. The Vanir of Vanaheim join as well, rallying behind Freya despite her years of exile. They remember what she was before Odin broke her, and they're willing to fight to restore her and their realm. even some of the Aesir defect. Not all of them support Odin's tyranny, and as the conflict escalates, some choose to stand against him. These defectors bring valuable intelligence and capabilities to the alliance. The gathering of allies mirrors the original Titanomachy, when the Olympians united against the Titans. But this time, Kratos is on the side of the rebels, fighting against the established order rather than defending it. He's come full circle, from servant of the gods to their destroyer to their opponent once again. Part 27. Thor, God of Thunder. Thor is one of the primary antagonists of Ragnarok, a god of immense power and deep complexity. He's not simply a villain, he's a tragic figure, shaped by his father's expectations and his own failures. Thor is the strongest of the Aesir, wielder of Mjolnir, the hammer that can level mountains. He's killed more giants than any other god, earning the hatred of an entire race. He's Odin's enforcer, the weapon the Allfather uses to crush any opposition. But Thor is also an alcoholic, drowning his guilt in mead, trying to forget the atrocities he's committed. He's a father who's failed his children, a husband who's failed his wife, a god who's failed to live up to his own ideals. He does what Odin commands because he doesn't know how to do anything else. Kratos sees himself in Thor. Both are warriors who've committed terrible acts, who've been used by those more powerful than themselves, who struggle with guilt and rage. The parallels between them are explicit, and their confrontations are as much about their similarities as their differences. Thor's arc throughout Ragnarok is one of gradual awakening. He begins to question Odin's commands, to see the cost of his obedience, to wonder if there's another way. His journey mirrors Kratos' own journey from blind obedience to independent thought. The final confrontation between Kratos and Thor is not simply a battle, it's a conversation, a meeting of two men who understand each other in ways no one else can. The outcome of that confrontation depends on choices made throughout the game, but it always carries emotional weight. Part 28. Odin, the All-Father. Odin is the true antagonist of the Norse saga, a god whose obsession with knowledge and control has corrupted everything he touches. He's not a simple villain, he's a complex figure whose motivations are understandable even as his methods are monstrous. Odin fears Ragnarok above all else. The prophecy says that he will die during the twilight of the gods, killed by the wolf Fenrir. He's spent centuries trying to prevent this fate, sacrificing everything, including his own eye, in pursuit of knowledge that might save him. But Odin's fear has made him a tyrant. He's imprisoned the giants, persecuted the Vanir, controlled the other Aesir through manipulation and force. He's created the very conditions that make Ragnarok inevitable, his attempts to prevent it actually bringing it closer. Odin is charming and intelligent, capable of appearing reasonable and even sympathetic. He genuinely believes that his rule is necessary, that without him the 9 realms would descend into chaos. He sees himself as a protector, not a tyrant. This self-deception makes Odin more dangerous than a simple villain. He's convinced of his own righteousness, unable to see the harm he causes, unwilling to consider that he might be wrong. His certainty is absolute, and it blinds him to the truth. The confrontation with Odin is the climax of the Norse saga, the moment when all the threads come together. It's not just a battle, it's a reckoning, a judgment on Odin's rule and his choices. The outcome determines the fate of the 9 realms. Part 29. Ragnarok. Ragnarok, when it comes, is not what anyone expected. The prophecies spoke of destruction, of the death of gods, of the end of the world. But prophecy, as Kratos has learned, is not destiny. The battle is massive, spanning multiple realms, involving gods and giants and mortals. Kratos leads the alliance against Odin's forces, fighting alongside former enemies, protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The set pieces are spectacular. Kratos battles through armies of the dead, faces the monsters of Norse mythology, confronts gods he's known throughout the saga. The scale is epic, matching anything from the Greek games. But the heart of Ragnarok is personal. It's about Kratos and Atreus, about their relationship, about what they're willing to sacrifice for each other. The fate of the 9 realms matters, but what matters more is whether father and son can find a way forward together. Atreus plays a crucial role in the final battle, using his powers, his connections, his understanding of prophecy to turn the tide. He's no longer the boy who started this journey. He's a young man, capable and confident, ready to make his own choices. The confrontation with Odin is intense and emotional. The All-Father uses every trick, every manipulation, every weapon at his disposal. He appeals to fear, to ambition, to the desire for knowledge. He's a master of words, and his words are as dangerous as any blade. But Kratos has learned to resist manipulation. He's been used by gods before, and he won't be used again. He fights Odin not with rage, but with purpose. Not for revenge, but for protection. He's fighting for his son, for his allies, for the future. The death of Odin is not triumphant. It's sad in a way, the end of a god who could have been so much more, who was destroyed by his own fear. Odin dies still believing he was right, still unable to see the truth. His death is a tragedy, even if it's necessary. Part 30, The Aftermath. With Odin dead and Ragnarok concluded, the 9 realms begin to heal. The destruction is immense, but it's not total. Life continues, and those who survived begin to rebuild. Kratos' role in the new order is uncertain. He's a god who's killed gods, a destroyer who's also a protector. The people of the 9 realms don't know what to make of him, and he doesn't know what to make of himself. But one thing is clear: Kratos has changed. The rage that once defined him is still there, but it's no longer in control. He's learned to be a father, to protect without destroying, to love without possessing. He's become the man Faye believed he could be. Atreus' path diverges from his father's. He has his own destiny to fulfill, his own journey to undertake. The prophecies speak of Loki's role in the future, and Atreus must discover what that role will be. The parting between father and son is emotional, but not tragic. They're not losing each other, they're letting each other grow. Kratos has taught Atreus everything he can, and now Atreus must learn the rest on his own. Kratos remains in the 9 realms, finding a new purpose. He's no longer running from his past, he's building a future. The ghost of Sparta has become something else, something better, something that honours the memory of those he's lost. Part 31, The Themes of God of War. The God of War series explores themes that resonate far beyond its mythological setting. These themes give the games their emotional power and their lasting impact. Rage is the most obvious theme, the emotion that defines Kratos throughout the Greek saga. His rage is understandable, born of genuine grievances, but it's also destructive, consuming everything in its path. The Greek games show where unchecked rage leads, to the destruction of the world itself. The Norse games explore the aftermath of rage, the possibility of moving beyond it. Kratos still feels anger, still has the capacity for violence, but he's learned to control it, to channel it, to use it rather than be used by it. His journey is one of emotional growth, of learning to feel something other than rage. Fatherhood is central to the Norse saga. Kratos' relationship with Atreus is the emotional core of both games, driving the narrative and providing the stakes. Kratos is trying to be a better father than Zeus was to him, trying to break the cycle of divine dysfunction that has defined his life. The theme of fatherhood extends beyond Kratos and Atreus. Odin's relationship with Thor and Baldur, Freya's relationship with Baldur, even Brock and Sindri's brotherly bond, all explore different aspects of family and the ways it can nurture or destroy. The cycle of violence is another central theme. In Greek mythology, sons overthrow fathers in an endless pattern. Kronos overthrew Uranus, Zeus overthrew Kronos, and the prophecy says that Zeus's son will overthrow him. Kratos fulfills this prophecy, but in doing so he perpetuates the cycle. The Norse games ask whether the cycle can be broken. Kratos doesn't want Atreus to become what he was, doesn't want revenge and rage to define another generation. His struggle is to end the cycle, to create something new, to prove that the future doesn't have to repeat the past. Redemption is perhaps the most important theme. Kratos has done terrible things, has killed innocents, has destroyed worlds. Can such sins be forgiven? Can someone who's done so much wrong ever do enough right to balance the scales? The games don't offer easy answers. Kratos can't undo what he's done, can't bring back the dead, can't restore the world he destroyed. But he can choose to be different going forward, can try to do good, can protect rather than destroy. Redemption isn't about erasing the past, it's about building a better future. Part 32. The Mythology of God of War. The God of War series draws on real mythology, but adapts it freely, creating its own version of these ancient stories. Understanding the relationship between the games and their sources enriches the experience. Greek mythology in the games is largely faithful to the original stories, though with significant changes. The gods are portrayed as more villainous than in the myths, their flaws exaggerated to justify Kratos' revenge. The Titans are more sympathetic, victims of Olympian tyranny rather than the chaotic forces of the original myths. The games incorporate many figures from Greek mythology. The Olympian gods, the Titans, heroes like Perseus and Theseus, monsters like the Hydra and Medusa. Each is adapted to fit the game's narrative, sometimes significantly changed from their mythological origins. Norse mythology in the games is similarly adapted. The gods are recognizable but different, their personalities and relationships altered to serve the story. Odin is more villainous than in the myths, Thor more tragic, Freya more sympathetic. The games also incorporate elements from Norse mythology that aren't widely known. The Nine Realms, the World Tree Yggdrasil, the Prophecy of Ragnarok. These elements are presented accessibly, introducing players to a rich mythological tradition. The blending of Greek and Norse mythology is one of the series' most interesting aspects. Kratos, a figure from Greek myth, exists in the Norse world, bringing his history and his perspective. The games suggest that all mythologies exist in the same universe, that the gods of different cultures are real and distinct. This approach raises interesting questions. If the Greek gods are dead, what happened to Greece? If Kratos can travel from one mythological realm to another, what other realms might exist? The games hint at possibilities without fully exploring them, leaving room for future stories. Part 33. The Evolution of Kratos. Kratos' character arc across the series is one of the most compelling in gaming. He begins as a rage-fueled killing machine and evolves into a complex, sympathetic figure struggling with his past. In the Greek games, Kratos is defined by his rage. He's a force of destruction, killing everything in his path, driven by revenge and self-loathing. He's not a hero in any traditional sense. He's a monster who happens to be fighting other monsters. The Greek Kratos is hard to sympathize with. His grievances are real, but his response is disproportionate. He kills innocents without hesitation, destroys the world to satisfy his revenge, shows no remorse for the suffering he causes. He's a tragic figure, but not a likable one. The Norse games transform Kratos. He's still capable of violence, still carries the weight of his past, but he's trying to be different. He's a father now, responsible for another life, forced to consider the consequences of his actions. The Norse Kratos is quieter, more reflective, more human despite his godhood. He struggles with emotions he doesn't know how to express, with a past he can't escape, with a future he's afraid to face. He's vulnerable in ways the Greek Kratos never was. This evolution is what makes the Norse games so powerful. We're watching a man try to change, try to be better, try to break free from the patterns that have defined his life. His struggle is universal, even if his circumstances are mythological. Christopher Judge's performance as Kratos in the Norse games is crucial to this evolution. His voice conveys depth and emotion, making Kratos feel like a real person rather than a video game character. The performance grounds the fantastical elements in genuine human feeling. Part 34. The Supporting Characters. The God of War series features a rich cast of supporting characters who bring depth and variety to the narrative. Athena is one of the most complex figures in the Greek saga. She begins as an ally, helping Kratos in his quest against Ares. But her motivations are never pure. She's always pursuing her own agenda, manipulating Kratos for her own ends. Athena's transformation after her death, ascending to a higher plane and seeking the power of hope, reveals her true nature. She's not benevolent, she's ambitious, seeking power for herself under the guise of helping others. Her final confrontation with Kratos shows that even the goddess of wisdom can be corrupted by desire. Freya is the most important supporting character in the Norse saga. Her arc from ally to enemy to ally again is one of the most emotionally complex in the series. She's a mother who made terrible mistakes trying to protect her son, and she's paying the price for those mistakes. Freya's reconciliation with Kratos is hard-won and believable. Both have lost children, both have made choices they regret, both are trying to move forward despite their pain. Their eventual alliance is built on mutual understanding, not convenience. Mimir provides wisdom and humour, balancing the heavy themes with lighter moments. His knowledge of the 9 realms is invaluable, but his real contribution is perspective. He helps Kratos see situations from different angles, challenges his assumptions, encourages his growth. Brock and Sindri are comic relief, but they're also fully realised characters with their own arcs. Their estrangement and reconciliation mirrors the larger themes of the series, showing that broken relationships can be healed. Atreus evolves from a supporting character to a co-protagonist. His growth across the 2 Norse games is remarkable. From a boy seeking his father's approval to a young man ready to forge his own path, his relationship with Kratos is the heart of the Norse saga. Part 35. The Gameplay and Narrative Integration. One of the God of War series' greatest achievements is the integration of gameplay and narrative. The games don't just tell a story, they make you feel it through the mechanics. The combat in the Greek games reflects Kratos' rage. It's brutal, visceral, designed to make you feel powerful and destructive. The quick-time events that finish major enemies are violent and satisfying, putting you in Kratos' mindset. The combat in the Norse games is different, more deliberate, more tactical. Kratos is older, more controlled, and the combat reflects this. The Leviathan axe, which can be thrown and recalled, encourages a more thoughtful approach than the Blades of Chaos. The relationship between Kratos and Atreus is reflected in gameplay. Atreus fights alongside you, responds to your commands, grows more capable as the game progresses. The mechanics reinforce the narrative of a father and son learning to work together. The single-shot camera in the Norse games is a technical achievement that also serves the narrative. By never cutting away, the games create an intimate, continuous experience that keeps you connected to Kratos' perspective. You're not watching his journey, you're sharing it. The puzzles in the games often reflect their themes. In the Greek games, puzzles frequently involve sacrifice and suffering, reinforcing the brutal world Kratos inhabits. In the Norse games, puzzles often require cooperation between Kratos and Atreus, reinforcing their partnership. Part 36. The Music of God of War. The music of God of War is essential to its emotional impact. The scores, composed by different artists across the series, create atmosphere and reinforce the narrative. The Greek games feature orchestral scores that emphasize the epic scale of the conflict. The music is bombastic and dramatic, matching the over-the-top action and the mythological setting. The Norse games, composed by Bear McCreary, take a different approach. The score incorporates Nordic instruments and vocal styles, creating a sound that's distinct from the Greek games while maintaining the series' epic quality. The main theme of the 2018 game, with its haunting vocals and building intensity, perfectly captures the tone of the new direction. It's melancholic but powerful, reflecting Kratos' internal struggle and his determination to protect his son. Specific musical moments stand out. The music that plays during emotional scenes between Kratos and Atreus, the themes associated with specific characters, the way the score builds during major battles, all contribute to the game's impact. McCreary's work on Ragnarok continues and expands on the foundation laid in the 2018 game. The score is more varied, reflecting the expanded scope of the sequel, but it maintains the emotional core that made the first game's music so effective. Part 37. The Legacy of God of War. The God of War series has left an indelible mark on gaming, influencing countless other games and establishing standards for action-adventure storytelling. The Greek games defined a style of action game that was widely imitated. The combination of brutal combat, puzzle solving, and epic boss battles became a template that many games followed. The quick-time event finishing moves in particular became ubiquitous in the genre. The 2018 reboot redefined what the series could be, proving that a franchise known for mindless violence could tell a mature, emotionally complex story. The game's success demonstrated that players wanted more than just action. They wanted characters they could care about. The single-shot camera technique, while not invented by God of War, was perfected by it. The seamless presentation influenced other games and even films, showing how continuous shots could create immersion and emotional connection. The portrayal of Kratos as a father trying to do better has resonated with players, particularly those who are parents themselves. The game speaks to universal experiences of parenthood, of trying to protect children from your own mistakes, of learning to let go. The series has also influenced how games adapt mythology. By taking familiar stories and characters and reimagining them, God of War showed that mythology could be a rich source for original narratives, not just settings for generic adventures. Part 38. The Future of God of War. With the Norse saga concluded, the future of God of War is uncertain but full of possibilities. The series has established that Kratos can move between mythological realms, opening the door to countless potential settings. Egyptian mythology is a popular speculation for the next setting. The rich pantheon of Egyptian gods, the distinctive visual style and the thematic possibilities make it an attractive option. Kratos confronting Ra, Anubis or Set would be a natural extension of the series. Other mythologies are also possible. Celtic, Japanese, Mesoamerican, Hindu all offer rich traditions that could be adapted for the series. Each would bring new gods, new monsters, new stories to tell. The question of Atreus' future is also open. His journey as Loki is just beginning, and there's potential for games that follow his story rather than Kratos's. A game focused on Atreus would be different in tone and gameplay, but it could be equally compelling. Whatever direction the series takes, the foundation is strong. The God of War games have proven that they can reinvent themselves, that they can tell different kinds of stories, that they can evolve while maintaining their core identity. The future is bright for the Ghost of Sparta. Part 39. The philosophical dimensions beyond its mythological trappings. God of War engages with philosophical questions that give it depth and resonance. The nature of fate and free will is central to the series. Greek mythology is deterministic. The fates control destiny, and even the gods cannot escape their decrees. Kratos' defiance of fate, his killing of the Sisters of Fate, is a rejection of this determinism. The Norse games continue this theme. Prophecy says that Ragnarok will destroy the world, that certain gods will die, that certain events will occur. But Kratos and Atreus challenge these prophecies, suggesting that the future is not fixed, that choices matter. The question of whether people can change is another philosophical thread. Kratos has done terrible things. Can he ever truly be redeemed? The games suggest that redemption is possible, but it requires genuine change, not just regret. Kratos must become a different person, not just feel bad about who he was. The nature of godhood is also explored. What does it mean to be a god? The Greek gods are powerful but petty, immortal but not wise. The Norse gods are similarly flawed. Kratos, despite being a god, often seems more human than the deities he fights. The games suggest that power doesn't confer virtue, that being a god doesn't make you good. True greatness comes from character, from choices, from the willingness to grow and change. Kratos becomes a better person, not because of his divine power, but despite it. Part 40. Conclusion. The journey of Kratos. We've travelled far together, from the blood-soaked battlefields of ancient Greece to the frozen realms of the Norse. We've witnessed the rise and fall of gods, the destruction and rebirth of worlds, the transformation of a man consumed by rage into a father seeking redemption. Kratos' journey is one of the great stories in gaming. It spans decades of real time and centuries of fictional time. It encompasses two complete mythologies and hints at more to come. It features some of the most spectacular action sequences ever created and some of the most intimate character moments. But what makes Kratos' story truly remarkable is its emotional truth. Beneath the gods and monsters, beneath the epic battles and mythological settings, is a story about a man trying to be better, trying to escape his past, trying to protect his son from becoming what he was. This is a story that resonates because it's universal. We all have pasts we're not proud of. We all struggle with anger and regret. We all want to believe that we can change, that we can be better, that our mistakes don't have to define us. Kratos shows us that change is possible, but it's not easy. It requires confronting what you've done, accepting responsibility, making different choices. It requires letting go of rage, even when rage feels justified. It requires opening yourself to love, even when love has brought you pain. The ghost of Sparta began as a monster, a force of destruction that killed gods and destroyed worlds. He ends as something else, a father, a protector, a man who's found a way to live with his past while building a better future. That transformation is the heart of God of War. Not the combat, not the mythology, not the spectacle, but the journey of a man from darkness to light. It's a journey that's taken decades to tell, and it's one of the most rewarding in all of gaming. So thank you for joining me on this exploration of God of War's lore. Whether you're a veteran who's played every game or a newcomer just discovering the series, I hope this journey has deepened your appreciation for one of gaming's greatest sagas. Remember, we cannot change the past. We can only move forward, and in moving forward, we can become something better than we were. Be better. This has been a comprehensive exploration of the lore of God of War, from the Greek saga through the Norse saga. The story of Kratos continues to evolve, and there are surely more chapters to come. Until then, may your blade stay sharp and your rage stay controlled. Part 41. The Weapons of Kratos. Throughout his journey, Kratos has wielded some of the most iconic weapons in gaming history. Each weapon tells a story, reflects a period of his life, and carries symbolic weight. The Blades of Chaos are Kratos' signature weapons, chains fused to his arms by Ares when he pledged his service to the God of War. These blades are more than weapons. They're symbols of his bondage, reminders of the deal that cost him everything. The Blades of Chaos were forged in the depths of Hades, imbued with the fires of the underworld. They can extend on their chains, allowing Kratos to strike enemies at range, to swing through the air, to pull foes toward him. They're versatile and deadly, perfect for the brutal combat style Kratos employs. When Kratos tried to abandon his past, he buried the Blades of Chaos beneath his cabin in Midgard. But he couldn't escape them forever. When Atreus fell ill, Kratos was forced to retrieve the blades, to accept that his past would always be part of him. The moment when Kratos takes up the Blades of Chaos again in the 2018 game is one of the most powerful in the series. The music swells, the flames ignite, and we see Kratos accept what he is. He can't run from his past, he can only try to use it for good. The Blade of Olympus is the weapon Zeus used to end the Great War against the Titans. It's the most powerful weapon in Greek mythology, capable of killing gods and titans alike. Kratos claimed it after killing Zeus, using it as his primary weapon in the final battle. The Blade of Olympus represents the power of the gods, the authority that Kratos has claimed for himself, but it's also a reminder of his father, of the betrayal that drove him to destroy Olympus. The blade is both a trophy and a burden. The Leviathan axe is Kratos' primary weapon in the Norse saga, a gift from his wife Faye. The axe was forged by Brock and Sindri, the same dwarves who created Thor's hammer Mjolnir. It's imbued with the power of ice, a counterpart to Thor's lightning. The Leviathan axe can be thrown and recalled, returning to Kratos' hand like a boomerang. This mechanic is deeply satisfying, and it encourages a more tactical approach to combat than the Blades of Chaos. The axe represents Kratos' new life, his attempt to be something other than the ghost of Sparta. It was made for Faye, and using it connects Kratos to her memory. When he throws the axe and catches it, he's honouring her legacy. The Draupnir spear is introduced in Ragnarok, a weapon that can multiply itself, creating copies that can be detonated. It's forged by Brock and Sindri specifically for the coming war, giving Kratos a new tool for the battles ahead. The spear represents Kratos' growth as a warrior. He's not just relying on the weapons of his past, he's adapting, learning, finding new ways to fight. The spear is a symbol of his evolution. Part 42. The Monsters of God of War. The God of War series features some of the most memorable monsters in gaming, drawn from Greek and Norse mythology, and reimagined for interactive combat. The Hydra is the first major boss of the original God of War, a multi-headed serpent that attacks Kratos' ship. The battle is spectacular, with Kratos climbing the creature's necks, severing heads, and finally impaling the main head on a ship's mast. The Hydra establishes the scale and ambition of the series. This is a game where you fight monsters the size of buildings, where the action is epic and the stakes are high. The Hydra battle set expectations that the series would consistently meet and exceed. The Colossus of Rhodes is another iconic boss, a massive bronze statue animated by Zeus to destroy Kratos. The battle spans multiple stages, with Kratos fighting inside and outside the statue, eventually bringing it down from within. The Colossus battle is significant narratively as well as mechanically. It's the trap that Zeus sets for Kratos, the beginning of the betrayal that will drive the rest of the Greek saga. The spectacle of the battle masks the tragedy unfolding. Kronos, the Titan, is perhaps the most impressive boss in the Greek saga. Kratos fights across the Titan's body, climbing his arms, entering his stomach, eventually killing him from within. The scale is staggering, with Kronos' body serving as the entire level. The Kronos battle represents the culmination of the Greek game's ambition. How do you top fighting a being the size of a mountain? The answer is that you don't try to top it. You move in a different direction, which is exactly what the Norse games do. The Baldur fights in the Norse games are different from the Greek bosses. They're more intimate, more personal, focused on the conflict between two individuals rather than the spectacle of fighting a giant creature. The first Baldur fight, at the beginning of the 2018 game, establishes the new direction. It's brutal and visceral, with Kratos and Baldur trading blows that shatter the environment. But it's also character-driven, revealing information about both combatants through their fighting styles and dialogue. The Norse games feature many other memorable enemies: the dragon Hreislir, the dark elf king Svartaljofur, the Valkyries who serve as optional bosses. Each is designed to test different skills and provide different challenges. The Valkyries deserve special mention. These optional bosses are among the hardest fights in the series, requiring mastery of the combat system to defeat. The Queen of the Valkyries, Sigrun, is considered one of the most difficult boss fights in modern gaming. Part 43. The Realms of Norse Mythology. The Norse games introduced the 9 realms, distinct worlds connected by the world tree Yggdrasil. Each realm has its own character, its own inhabitants, its own role in the mythology. Midgard is the realm of humans, the central world where most of the action takes place. In the games, Midgard is a land of forests and mountains, lakes and ruins. It's where Kratos has made his home, where his journey begins. Midgard in the games is dominated by the Lake of Nine, a massive body of water that serves as a hub for exploration. The lake's water level changes throughout the game, revealing new areas and secrets. It's a clever design that encourages repeated exploration. Alfheim is the realm of the elves, divided between light elves and dark elves who are locked in eternal war. The realm is beautiful but dangerous, its light having strange effects on those who stay too long. Kratos and Atreus visit Alfheim to retrieve the light of Alfheim, which they need to progress on their journey. The realm raises questions about the nature of the conflict between the elves, suggesting that neither side is entirely right or wrong. Helheim is the realm of the dead, a frozen wasteland where those who die of illness or old age spend eternity. It's ruled by Hel, daughter of Loki in the original mythology, though the games don't explore this connection directly. Helheim is one of the most atmospheric locations in the games. The cold is palpable, the despair is overwhelming, and the visions of the past that haunt Kratos are deeply affecting. It's a realm that forces confrontation with mortality and regret. Muspelheim is the realm of fire, home to the fire giant Surtur. In the games, it serves as a combat challenge arena, where Kratos can test his skills against increasingly difficult waves of enemies. Niflheim is the realm of fog and mist, a procedurally generated maze filled with deadly traps and valuable rewards. It's a roguelike element within the larger game, encouraging repeated runs and risk-reward calculations. Jotunheim is the realm of the giants, sealed off from the other realms to protect its inhabitants from Odin's persecution. Reaching Jotunheim is the goal of the 2018 game, and what Kratos and Atreus find there changes everything. Svartalfheim is the realm of the dwarves, introduced more fully in Ragnarok. It's a realm of industry and craftsmanship, where the greatest weapons and artifacts are forged. The dwarves have suffered under Aesir rule, their realm exploited for its resources. Vanaheim is the realm of the Vanir gods, a lush and overgrown world that's been neglected since Freya's exile. It's a realm of nature and magic, contrasting with a more martial Asgard. Asgard is the realm of the Aesir gods, Odin's seat of power. It's the most heavily guarded realm, accessible only to those Odin permits. Atreus' infiltration of Asgard in Ragnarok is one of the game's most tense sequences. Part 44. The prophecies and their fulfillment prophecy plays a crucial role in both the Greek and Norse sagas, driving the plot and raising questions about fate and free will. The Greek prophecy that a marked warrior would bring about the destruction of Olympus sets the entire saga in motion. Ares and Athena's attempt to prevent this prophecy by kidnapping Deimos actually ensures its fulfillment, as their actions create the rage that drives Kratos. This is a classic example of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The gods' attempts to prevent their fate actually cause it. If they had left Kratos and Deimos alone, Kratos might never have become the destroyer of Olympus. The prophecy that Zeus would be overthrown by his son follows the same pattern. Zeus's paranoia about this prophecy leads him to betray Kratos, which gives Kratos the motivation to fulfill the prophecy. Zeus creates his own destroyer. The Norse prophecies are more complex, involving multiple figures and events. the prophecy of Ragnarok describes the twilight of the gods, the death of Odin and Thor, the destruction and rebirth of the world. But the Norse games suggest that prophecy is not destiny. The giants could see the future, but seeing it doesn't mean it's fixed. Kratos and Atreus make choices that diverge from what was prophesied, suggesting that the future can be changed. The murals in Jotunheim show a version of events that doesn't quite match what happens. Some details are accurate, others are not. This ambiguity suggests that prophecy is a guide, not a guarantee. The question of whether Ragnarok can be prevented, or whether it should be prevented, is central to the Norse Sea saga. Odin's obsession with preventing Ragnarok has made him a tyrant. Perhaps accepting fate rather than fighting it is the wiser path. Part 45. The Role of Women in God of War. The portrayal of women in God of War has evolved significantly over the course of the series, reflecting broader changes in gaming and storytelling. The Greek games feature women primarily as victims or villains. Kratos' wife and daughter are defined by their deaths, existing mainly to motivate his revenge. The goddesses he encounters are often sexualized or demonized. This portrayal reflects the era in which the games were made, but it's also a limitation. The women of the Greek games lack agency. They exist in relation to Kratos rather than as characters in their own right. The Norse games represent a significant improvement. Freya is a fully realized character with her own motivations, her own arc, her own agency. She's not defined by her relationship to men, she's defined by her choices and their consequences. Faye, though dead before the games begin, is a powerful presence. Her plans shape the entire journey. Her legacy guides Kratos and Atreus. She's not a victim. She's a strategist who anticipated events and prepared for them. The Valkyries in the Norse games are formidable warriors, among the most challenging opponents Kratos faces. They're not sexualized. They're respected as dangerous combatants. Angerboda, introduced in Ragnarok, is another strong female character. She's Atreus' peer, his equal, someone who challenges him and helps him grow. Their relationship is one of mutual respect. This evolution reflects the series' overall maturation. As Kratos has grown as a character, the world around him has grown as well, becoming more nuanced, more inclusive, more reflective of the full range of human experience. Part 46. The Voice Acting and Performance. The performances in God of War are crucial to its emotional impact. The voice actors bring depth and nuance to characters who could easily have been one-dimensional. Terence C. Carson voiced Kratos in the Greek games, bringing intensity and rage to the character. His performance captured the fury that defined Kratos in that era, the relentless drive for revenge. Christopher Judge took over the role for the Norse games, and his performance is transformative. Judge brings gravitas and vulnerability to Kratos, showing the man beneath the rage. His voice conveys weariness, regret, love, all the emotions that the Greek Kratos rarely expressed. Judge's performance in emotional scenes is particularly noteworthy. The moments between Kratos and Atreus, the quiet conversations, the expressions of love that Kratos struggles to articulate, all are elevated by Judge's nuanced delivery. Sonny Suljic voices young Atreus in the 2018 game, capturing the character's eagerness and vulnerability. His chemistry with Judge is essential to the game's success. Their relationship feels genuine. In Ragnarok, Atreus is older, and the performance reflects this. The character is more confident, more independent, sometimes frustratingly so. The voice acting captures this growth, while maintaining continuity with the younger version. Danielle Bissuti's performance as Freya is another highlight. She conveys the character's pain, her rage, her eventual acceptance with skill and subtlety. Freya's arc is one of the most emotionally complex in the series, and Bissuti rises to the challenge. The supporting cast is equally strong. Alistair Duncan as Mimir, Robert Craighead as Brock, Adam Harrington as Sindri, all bring their characters to life with distinctive voices and personalities. Part 47. The Visual Design. The visual design of God of War has always been impressive, but the Norse games represent a quantum leap in fidelity and artistry. The Greek games established a distinctive visual style, grand architecture, mythological creatures, a colour palette dominated by reds and golds. The scale was epic, with environments designed to dwarf the player and emphasise the power of the gods. The Norse games take a different approach. The environments are more naturalistic, with forests and mountains that feel like real places. The colour palette is cooler, dominated by blues and greens, reflecting the northern setting. The character designs in the Norse games are more grounded. Kratos looks older, more weathered, his body showing the scars of his long life. The gods and creatures are designed to feel like part of the world, not just obstacles to overcome. The attention to detail is remarkable. The textures on Kratos' armour, the way light filters through the forest canopy, the animation of the Leviathan axe as it returns to Kratos' hand, all contribute to immersion. The single-shot camera required innovative solutions to visual storytelling. Without cuts, the designers had to find ways to direct the player's attention, to create dramatic moments, to transition between gameplay and cutscenes seamlessly. The result is one of the most visually cohesive games ever made. Every element, from the largest set piece to the smallest detail, serves the overall vision. The visual design supports the narrative, creating a world that feels real and lived in. Part 48. The Cultural Impact. God of War has had a significant impact on gaming culture, influencing other games and becoming a touchstone for discussions about narrative in games. The Greek games defined a genre. The combination of brutal combat, puzzle solving, and epic boss battles became a template that many games followed. The character action genre owes much to God of War's innovations. The 2018 reboot influenced how developers think about franchise reinvention. It proved that a series known for one thing could successfully become something else, that audiences would accept radical changes if the execution was strong. The game's treatment of fatherhood resonated with players and critics alike. It sparked discussions about masculinity, about emotional expression, about the challenges of parenting. These are not typical topics for action games, and God of War's willingness to engage with them was notable. The success of the Norse games has influenced other developers to take more risks with established franchises. If God of War can reinvent itself, perhaps other series can too. The game has become an example of how to evolve while respecting what came before. God of War has also influenced discussions about game length and pacing. The Norse games are long, but they're also focused with minimal padding. They demonstrate that a game can be substantial without being bloated. Part 49. Playing the games today. For those who want to experience the God of War saga, there are several options depending on platform and preference. The Greek games are available on PlayStation consoles with remastered versions of the original trilogy available on PS3 and through PlayStation Now. These games show their age in some respects, but they remain playable and impressive. The PSP games Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta are also available in remastered form. These games fill in gaps in Kratos' backstory and are worth playing for fans who want the complete picture. God of War Ascension, the prequel that explores Kratos' early years, is the least essential of the Greek games, but still offers solid gameplay and impressive set pieces. The 2018 God of War is available on PS4, PS5 and PC. It's the best entry point for new players, offering a complete story that doesn't require knowledge of the Greek games. The PC version offers enhanced visuals and performance. God of War Ragnarok is available on PS4 and PS5. It concludes the Norse saga and is best experienced after playing the 2018 game, as it builds directly on that story. For those who want to experience the full saga, playing in release order provides the most complete understanding of Kratos' evolution. But the Norse games can be enjoyed on their own, with the Greek backstory adding depth rather than being essential. Part 50. Final Reflections. The God of War saga is one of gaming's great achievements, a story that has evolved and deepened over nearly 2 decades. From the rage-fueled revenge of the Greek games to the emotional complexity of the Norse saga, this series has consistently pushed boundaries. Kratos' journey from monster to father is the heart of the series. It's a journey that resonates because it speaks to universal experiences, the weight of past mistakes, the desire to protect those we love, the hope that we can become better than we were. The games succeed because they take their story seriously. They're not just action games with a thin narrative veneer. They're genuine attempts to explore complex themes through interactive storytelling. The gameplay and narrative reinforce each other, creating experiences that are greater than the sum of their parts. The future of God of War is bright. The foundation laid by the Norse games opens possibilities for new settings, new characters, new stories. Whether Kratos continues his journey or passes the torch to a new protagonist, the series has proven its ability to evolve. For now, we have 2 complete sagas to appreciate: the Greek tragedy of a man consumed by rage, and the Norse redemption of a father learning to love. Together, they form one of gaming's most compelling narratives. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the lore of God of War. May your path be clear, your enemies fall before you, and your family be safe. Be better, be greater, be the change you wish to see. The Ghost of Sparta's story continues, and we'll be there to witness it. This concludes our comprehensive exploration of God of War's lore. From ancient Greece to the frozen north, from rage to redemption, the saga of Kratos stands as one of gaming's greatest achievements. Until the next chapter begins, remember, the cycle ends here. We must be better. Part 51. The side quests and optional content. The God of War games, particularly the Norse entries, feature rich optional content that expands the world and provides additional challenges. The Valkyrie hunts in the 2018 game are among the most memorable optional content in gaming. 8 Valkyries are scattered across the realms, each a formidable boss fight with unique attack patterns. Defeating all 8 unlocks the fight against Sigrun, the Valkyrie Queen. Sigrun is considered one of the hardest boss fights in modern gaming. She combines the attacks of all other Valkyries, requiring players to master every counter and dodge. Defeating her is a badge of honor, proof of mastery over the combat system. The Muspelheim trials offer combat challenges of increasing difficulty. Players must complete specific objectives, like defeating enemies without taking damage or killing enemies within a time limit. These trials test different aspects of the combat system and reward players with valuable resources. Niflheim's randomized maze provides a different kind of challenge. Players must navigate procedurally generated rooms, fighting enemies, and collecting mist echoes while managing a timer that kills them if it runs out. It's a roguelike element that encourages repeated runs and risk-taking. The favor quests in the Norse games flesh out the world and its characters, helping spirits find peace, assisting dwarves with their projects, exploring ruins for treasure, all add depth to the experience. These quests often reveal lore about the 9 realms and their history. Ragnarok expands the optional content significantly. New realms to explore, new challenges to complete, new stories to discover. The game rewards thorough exploration with powerful equipment and deeper understanding of the world. The optional content in God of War serves multiple purposes. It extends the gameplay for those who want more. It provides challenges for skilled players, and it enriches the world, making it feel like a real place with history and depth. Part 52. The Bestiary of God of War. The creatures Kratos faces throughout the series draw from Greek and Norse mythology, reimagined for interactive combat. Greek mythology provides a rich bestiary. The Minotaur, the half-bull creature of the labyrinth, appears as a common enemy type. Gorgons, whose gaze turns victims to stone, are dangerous foes requiring careful approach. Cyclopes, the one-eyed giants, serve as mini-bosses throughout the Greek games. The Hydra, Cerberus, the Chimera all appear as boss encounters. Each is designed to test different skills and provide spectacle. The designers drew from classical depictions while adding their own interpretations. Undead soldiers are common enemies throughout the Greek games, representing the endless armies of Hades. They're not individually threatening but can overwhelm in numbers. They represent the cannon fodder that Kratos cuts through on his way to greater challenges. Norse mythology provides equally rich material. Draugr, the undead warriors of Norse legend, are common enemies in the Norse games. They come in various types, from basic foot soldiers to more dangerous variants with elemental powers. Trolls serve as mini-bosses, large creatures wielding massive weapons. Each troll has a name and a backstory, adding personality to what could be generic encounters. Defeating trolls often advances side quests or unlocks new areas. The Hellwalkers are undead specific to Helheim, frozen corpses animated by the realm's power. They're immune to the Leviathan Axe's frost damage, requiring Kratos to use the Blades of Chaos instead. This mechanical distinction reinforces the narrative importance of the blades. Dark Elves and Light Elves provide variety in Alfheim. The Dark Elves are aggressive and numerous, while Light Elves are more defensive. The conflict between them adds moral complexity to what could be simple enemy encounters. Revenants are witches who can teleport and summon poison. They're frustrating enemies that require patience and timing to defeat. Their design, twisted and unnatural, reflects their corrupted nature. The world serpent, while not an enemy, deserves mention. Jörmungandr is one of the most impressive creatures in gaming, so large that his body encircles the world. His presence adds scale and wonder to the Norse games. Part 53. The Armor and Equipment Systems. The Norse games introduce RPG elements that add depth to character progression and customization. Armor in the 2018 game comes in sets, each providing different stat bonuses and special abilities. Players can mix and match pieces to create builds suited to their playstyle. Heavy armor provides protection but slows movement. Light armor allows agility but leaves Kratos vulnerable. The armor system encourages experimentation. Different encounters might call for different loadouts. A build focused on runic attacks plays differently from one focused on basic combos. This variety keeps the combat fresh throughout the long campaign. Enchantments provide additional customization. These items slot into armor and weapons, providing stat boosts and special effects. Finding and upgrading enchantments is a major part of the game's progression. Talismans offer activated abilities on cooldowns. Some provide defensive benefits, like temporary invulnerability. Others enhance offense, like increased damage for a short time. Choosing the right talisman for each situation adds tactical depth. The Leviathan Axe and Blades of Chaos can be upgraded throughout the game, unlocking new abilities and increasing damage. Each weapon has its own skill tree, allowing players to specialize or generalize as they prefer. Runic attacks are special moves that can be equipped to weapons. Light runic attacks are faster but less powerful. Heavy runic attacks are slower but devastating. Choosing the right runic attacks for each weapon is another layer of customization. Atreus has his own equipment and upgrades. His bow can be enhanced with different arrow types. His armor affects his combat effectiveness. Upgrading Atreus makes him a more valuable partner in battle. Ragnarok expands these systems further. New armor sets, new enchantments, new runic attacks provide even more options. The game also introduces weapon-specific skill trees that allow deeper specialization. Shatas, Part 54, The Difficulty and Accessibility. God of War offers multiple difficulty levels to accommodate different players, from those seeking a casual experience to those wanting extreme challenge. The easiest difficulty, Give Me a Story, reduces enemy damage and aggression, allowing players to experience the narrative without frustration. It's designed for those who want to see the story but aren't interested in challenging combat. Normal difficulty, Give Me a Balanced Experience, provides the intended challenge level. Enemies are dangerous but manageable, requiring attention but not perfection. Most players will find this difficulty satisfying. Hard difficulty, Give Me a Challenge, significantly increases enemy damage and aggression. Players must master the combat system to succeed. Mistakes are punished severely, and even common enemies can be deadly. The hardest difficulty, Give Me God of War, is brutal. Enemies are relentless, damage is extreme, and there's no margin for error. This difficulty is designed for players who have mastered the game and want the ultimate challenge. The Norse games also include accessibility options that go beyond difficulty. Subtitles can be customized for size and background. Controller remapping allows players with different needs to find comfortable configurations. These options make the games playable for a wider audience. The balance between challenge and accessibility is carefully considered. The games want to be challenging, to provide a sense of accomplishment when obstacles are overcome, but they also want to be inclusive, to allow everyone to experience Kratos' story. Part 55, The New Game Plus mode. New Game Plus, introduced in updates to the 2018 game and included in Ragnarok, allows players to replay the game with their equipment and abilities intact. Starting a New Game Plus run carries over Kratos' level, equipment, and upgrades. This allows players to experience the story again with a fully powered character, or to tackle higher difficulties with better preparation. New Game Plus also introduces new content. Higher tier armor sets become available, providing goals for continued play. New enchantments and resources encourage further optimization. The mode also increases enemy difficulty, even on lower settings. Enemies gain new attacks and behaviours, providing fresh challenges even for experienced players. This prevents New Game Plus from becoming too easy. For many players, New Game Plus is where the game truly begins. The initial playthrough teaches the systems. New Game Plus allows mastery, building the perfect loadout, tackling the hardest challenges, achieving everything the game offers, all become possible. Part 56. The Speedrunning Community. God of War has an active speedrunning community that has found creative ways to complete the games as quickly as possible. Speedrunners exploit glitches and mechanics to skip content and move faster than intended. Out-of-bounds glitches allow skipping entire sections. Animation cancels speed-up combat. Route optimization minimizes time spent traveling. The Greek games, with their linear structure, have well-established speedrun routes. The current world records are impressive, completing games that take most players dozens of hours in just a few. The Norse games present different challenges for speedrunners. The open structure means more routing decisions. The RPG elements mean managing resources and upgrades. The longer cutscenes mean more time that can't be skipped. Watching speedruns provides a different perspective on the games. Seeing how the games can be broken reveals their underlying systems. The creativity of speedrunners in finding exploits is impressive in its own right. The speedrunning community also preserves knowledge about the games. Glitches that might otherwise be forgotten are documented and shared. This creates a historical record of how the games work at a technical level. Part 57. The Comparisons to Other Games. God of War exists in conversation with other games, both influencing and being influenced by the broader medium. The Greek games are often compared to Devil May Cry, another character action series that emphasizes stylish combat. Both series feature powerful protagonists fighting through hordes of enemies. But God of War emphasizes brutality, where Devil May Cry emphasizes style. The Norse games draw comparisons to Dark Souls and other Souls-like games. The more deliberate combat, the emphasis on timing and positioning, the challenging boss fights, all echo from Software's influential series. But God of War maintains its own identity, with more accessible difficulty and stronger narrative focus. The Last of Us is another comparison point, particularly for the Norse games. Both feature a gruff protagonist protecting a younger companion. Both emphasize character development and emotional storytelling. The success of The Last of Us may have influenced God of War's new direction. Horizon Zero Dawn, another PlayStation exclusive, shares some DNA with the Norse God of War games. Both feature open worlds with RPG elements. Both balance combat with exploration. Both tell stories about characters discovering their true nature. These comparisons illuminate what makes God of War distinctive. It's not trying to be any of these other games. It's synthesizing influences into something unique. The result is a series that feels familiar yet fresh, accessible yet deep. Part 58. The Merchandise and Expanded Universe. God of War has expanded beyond games into other media and merchandise, building a broader franchise. Novels have been published that expand the lore. These books fill in gaps in the timeline, explore characters' backstories, and provide additional context for the games. They're not essential but offer value for dedicated fans. Comics have also been produced, telling stories that complement the games. These visual narratives allow for different kinds of storytelling, exploring moments that games might not have time for. Collectible figures and statues allow fans to own physical representations of their favourite characters. High-end collectibles can be quite elaborate, featuring detailed sculpts and premium materials. These items serve as displays of fandom and appreciation. Clothing and accessories bearing God of War branding allow fans to express their connection to the series. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more feature iconic imagery from the games. The expanded universe adds depth for those who want it without being necessary for enjoying the games. The games tell complete stories on their own. The additional media enriches rather than completes them. Part 59. The critical reception. God of War has been critically acclaimed throughout its history, with the Norse games receiving particular praise. The original God of War was praised for its combat, its spectacle, and its willingness to push boundaries. It won numerous awards and established the series as a major PlayStation franchise. God of War 2 is often considered the peak of the Greek saga, refining the formula and delivering even more impressive set pieces. Its cliffhanger ending left players eager for the conclusion. God of War 3 delivered that conclusion with unprecedented scale. The opening sequence with Kratos climbing Mount Olympus on Gaia's back remains one of gaming's most impressive moments. The 2018 God of War received near-universal acclaim, winning Game of the Year from numerous outlets. Critics praised its reinvention of the series, its emotional depth, its technical achievements. It's considered one of the best games of its generation. Ragnarok continued the critical success, praised for its expanded scope, its satisfying conclusion to the Norse saga, and its continued character development. Some critics noted that it played things safer than its predecessor, but the overall reception was extremely positive. The series' critical success reflects its quality, but also its ambition. God of War has consistently tried to be more than just an action game, to tell meaningful stories, to push technical boundaries. Critics have recognized and rewarded these efforts. Part 60. The enduring appeal. What makes God of War endure? Why do players return to these games years after release? The answer lies in the combination of elements that the series does better than almost anyone. The combat is satisfying in a way that few games match. The weight of Kratos' attacks, the feedback from successful hits, the flow of chaining moves together, all create a visceral pleasure that doesn't diminish with repetition. The spectacle remains impressive even as graphics improve elsewhere. The boss fights, the set pieces, the moments of awe, all stick in memory. God of War knows how to create memorable moments. The story, particularly in the Norse games, provides emotional investment that elevates the action. We care about Kratos and Atreus, want them to succeed, feel their struggles. This investment makes every victory sweeter and every setback more painful. The mythology provides endless material. Greek and Norse myths are rich with stories, characters, and imagery. The games have barely scratched the surface of what's available, and other mythologies offer even more possibilities. The character of Kratos himself is compelling. His journey from rage to redemption, from destroyer to protector, is one of gaming's great arcs. We've watched him grow over nearly 2 decades, and we want to see where he goes next. God of War endures because it delivers on multiple levels. It's fun to play, impressive to watch, and meaningful to experience. It's a complete package, a series that has earned its place among gaming's greatest. And so, we conclude our journey through the lore of God of War. From the ashes of Sparta to the snows of Midgard, from the heights of Olympus to the depths of Helheim, we've travelled with Kratos through triumph and tragedy. His story continues, ours does too. And somewhere, in realms we haven't yet visited, new gods await, new challenges, new opportunities for growth. Until then, remember what Kratos learned. We cannot change the past, but we can shape the future. We can be better than we were. We can break the cycle. Be better. The complete lore of God of War, from the ghost of Sparta's bloody origins to his hard-won redemption, a saga of gods and monsters, fathers and sons, rage and love, one of gaming's greatest stories, told across generations of consoles and decades of real time. The journey continues. Part 61. The symbolism of the blades. The blades of chaos are more than weapons. They're symbols that carry meaning throughout the entire saga. When Ares first bound the blades to Kratos' arms, they represented his servitude. The chains were literal bonds, physical reminders that Kratos belonged to the god of war. He could not put them down, could not escape what they represented. After Kratos killed his family, the blades took on additional meaning. They became symbols of his guilt, the weapons that had murdered his wife and daughter. Every time he used them, he was reminded of what he had done. When Kratos buried the blades in Midgard, he was trying to bury his past. He wanted to be someone new, someone who wasn't defined by rage and violence. The blades represented everything he was trying to escape. But the past cannot be buried forever. When Atreus fell ill, Kratos had to retrieve the blades, had to accept that his history would always be part of him. The scene where he digs up the blades is one of the most powerful in the series. Athena appears to Kratos as he retrieves the blades, taunting him about his nature. She tells him he will always be a monster, that he cannot escape what he is. Kratos' response is defiant. He knows what he is, but he chooses to be more. This moment transforms the meaning of the blades. They're no longer just symbols of bondage and guilt. They're tools that Kratos chooses to use, weapons he wields in service of something greater than revenge. He's reclaiming them, making them his own. The blade's fire, which once represented the flames of Hades, now represents Kratos' controlled rage. The fire is still there, still dangerous, but it's directed, purposeful. Kratos has learned to use his anger rather than be used by it. By the end of the Norse saga, the blades of chaos have become symbols of redemption. They're proof that the tools of destruction can be turned to protection, that the weapons of a monster can be wielded by a father. They represent Kratos' journey from what he was to what he's become. Part 62. The meaning of boy. One of the most memorable aspects of the 2018 game is Kratos' habit of calling Atreus boy, rather than by name. This simple word carries layers of meaning that evolve throughout the game. At the beginning, boy reflects Kratos' emotional distance. He doesn't use Atreus' name because he's keeping his son at arm's length, afraid to get too close, afraid of what might happen if he lets himself love again. Boy is also a command, a way of asserting authority. Kratos is the father, the teacher, the one in charge. Atreus is the student, the follower, the one who must obey. The word establishes hierarchy. As the game progresses, boy takes on warmer connotations. It becomes a term of endearment, a way of expressing affection that Kratos can't put into more direct words. When Kratos says boy, we hear the love beneath the gruffness. The moments when Kratos uses Atreus' actual name are significant precisely because they're rare. When Kratos says Atreus, it carries weight, indicates a moment of particular importance or emotion. By Ragnarok, the dynamic has shifted. Atreus is older, more independent, less willing to simply follow orders. Boy becomes a point of tension, a reminder of a relationship that's changing. Atreus wants to be seen as an equal, not a child. The evolution of this single word tracks the evolution of the father-son relationship. It's a masterclass in economical storytelling, conveying complex emotional dynamics through the simplest of means. Part 63. The Legacy of Faye. Faye dies before the Norse games begin, but her presence is felt throughout both games. She's one of the most important characters in the saga despite never appearing alive on screen. Faye was a giant, one of the last of her kind, hiding in Midgard to escape Odin's persecution. She was a warrior, skilled enough to earn the name Laufey the Just among her people. She was also a seer, able to glimpse the future and plan accordingly. Her relationship with Kratos is revealed through fragments. The cabin they built together, the axe she left behind, the stories Atreus tells about her. We piece together a picture of a woman who saw something in Kratos worth loving, who believed he could be more than his past. Faye's final request to have her ashes scattered from the highest peak in all the realms seems simple, but is actually a carefully constructed plan. She knew that the journey would take Kratos and Atreus to Jotunheim, would reveal the truth about their heritage, would set events in motion that would shape the fate of the 9 realms. The murals in Jotunheim reveal the extent of Faye's foresight. She knew what would happen, or at least, what might happen. She prepared Kratos and Atreus as best she could, leaving clues and guidance for a journey she wouldn't be there to share. Faye's influence extends beyond planning. She taught Atreus to hunt, to read, to think. She gave him the values that guide him throughout the games. In many ways, Atreus is more Faye's child than Kratos' shaped by her presence rather than his absence. The revelation that Faye named Atreus Loki adds another layer. She knew what her son would become, or might become. She chose a name that carries weight in Norse mythology, that suggests a destiny beyond ordinary life. Faye represents the possibility of love and family for Kratos, the life he built after destroying everything in Greece. Her death is the catalyst for the Norse saga, but her legacy is what gives that saga meaning. Part 64, Final Words. And so we come to the end of our journey through the lore of God of War. We've travelled from ancient Greece to the frozen north, witnessed the fall of Olympus and the twilight of the Norse gods, watched a monster become a father, and a father become something like a hero. The God of War saga is one of gaming's great achievements. It's a story that has evolved over nearly 2 decades, growing more complex and more meaningful with each installment. It's proof that games can tell stories as powerful as any other medium. That interactivity enhances rather than diminishes narrative impact. Kratos' journey resonates because it speaks to universal experiences. We all carry the weight of our past mistakes. We all struggle with anger and regret. We all hope that we can change, that we can be better than we were, that our failures don't have to define us. The games don't offer easy answers. Redemption is hard. Change is painful. The past cannot be erased, only accepted. But they do offer hope that growth is possible, that love can survive even the deepest wounds, that the cycle of violence can be broken. As we wait for the next chapter in Kratos' story, we can appreciate what we have. 2 complete sagas, each satisfying in its own way. A character who has grown from a symbol of rage to a symbol of redemption. A series that has consistently pushed the boundaries of what games can be. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of God of War's lore. Whether you're a long-time fan who's played every game or a newcomer just discovering the series, I hope this journey has deepened your appreciation for one of gaming's greatest stories. The Ghost of Sparta's journey continues, and wherever it leads, we'll be there to witness it. Be better, be greater, break the cycle. Until next time.